Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Adeola Olatunji of ZER Consulting Africa. Please drop your name in the comments box. We're happy to have you here. We're live. So I'm welcoming everyone this afternoon to the SCALE Masterclass. SCALE Masterclass. But for many of you, we appreciate that this is your first time joining us. So we say again, a very warm welcome to the SCALE Masterclass, where our aim is for us to scale African excellence together. My name is Adeola Olatunji. I'm a medical doctor. I'm a senior advisor at ZER Consulting Africa, and I welcome you to today's masterclass. I'm here with my colleagues, and from time to time, I'll be asking them to prompt and move to the next slide. Like now, Rita, please. So what are we doing here today? What's on the agenda? First, we'll welcome you. That's what's going on now. And then we'll introduce you to the SCALE framework, which is our proprietary framework at ZER Consulting Africa. Then we do a deep dive on the elements of this SCALE framework, which includes strategizing your vision, championing excellence, accelerate exceptional leadership, leverage governance, and expand impact via growth capital. The initial letters of those phrases are what constitute the elements of the SCALE framework. At the end of that, we'll have a discussion. But please do not leave your questions till the end. If you have questions, comments, something you want to point out, please feel free to put that in a comment on whatever platform you're joining. I'm aware some people are joining on LinkedIn and some are on YouTube. Wherever you're joining us from, you're welcome to put your comments or questions in the comments. I will try to address them. And at the end of the discussion, we'll go on what next after today's session. Next, Rita. So first, why this masterclass? This masterclass, why is there going through all this? Why this masterclass? We're doing this because at ZER we are purpose driven, and we have a passion, a strong drive to empower African businesses and leaders. We like to, and we take every opportunity we have and create these opportunities to share knowledge, tools, and frameworks that help upskill African entrepreneurs and business owners in Africa in general. Overall, we want to help build resilient, scalable businesses that take African excellence to the global stage. And then why me? Why should you listen to me on today's topic? Well, I hope I convince you after introducing myself. You know my name. My name is Adeola. I'm a senior advisor at ZER. I've been consulting since 2013. I've managed governance projects for both non-profit and for-profit organizations. I've worked for 16 years across 2 continents, 7 of those years in multinational companies. And importantly, I'm an Afro-optimist, which means I like to approach African businesses, African issues with an optimistic attitude, an attitude based on a realistic appreciation of the challenges we have, but also knowing that we can craft our own solutions, of course, in collaboration with each other and in collaboration with global organizations and best practices. So on to the next slide. We listened to you. So when you were signing up for this masterclass, we asked you to indicate what topics of the SCALE framework you would like us to focus on and what you hope to gain from this masterclass. So on the first question, a large proportion of people indicated their interest in learning about how to strategize the vision. And the next proportion, the next sizable proportion were those people that wanted to learn about governance. So today we are going to focus on governance because in our initial masterclass session 2 weeks ago, we focused on strategizing your vision. And yeah, we would not like to repeat. We want to expand the knowledge we are sharing. So today we will focus on leveraging governance for excellence. And then a lot of you indicated you would like to gain practical tips. So we are discussing here what we actually do with clients that we have, the steps we take to help them embed governance in their businesses. Rita. So going on to the second item on the agenda, let me introduce the SCALE framework to you. The SCALE framework is an adaptable 5-step roadmap for business transformation. Using this framework, African businesses are empowered to turn their business visions into reality. So, using this framework, you have an idea, you have a dream, or you are starting a company. Using this framework alone or with us as your consulting partners, we help you, bring the various to move from vision to a scalable reality. I'll put it that way. Next slide. And you've heard a few times on this masterclass, Afro-optimism. So Afro-optimism, as I said, for me, is approaching the realities of being an African, of running an African business in a realistic, grounded way, but not being defeated by whatever they say. Africans are this, Africans are that, or Africa is this, Africa is da, da, da. Being grounded in the reality of what it is. Yes, it's challenging, but also knowing that we can craft, and there are companies crafting solid, good solutions. And so this is the optimism part, and this informs how we build, lead, and scale as African businesses. And we do this with intention and pride. So going on to the SCALE is an acronym. S means strategize your vision. C means champion excellence. A means accelerate exceptional leadership. L stands for leverage governance for sustainable growth. And E stands for expand your impact via growth capital. I'll take a pause here because I see a question in the comment section, in the comment box. So Adeolu asked, why do I think so many are focused on strategy versus the other areas? So my personal feeling is that strategy is, of course, is a focus area for many businesses just starting, but also for old businesses too. Strategy, I think, is what helps people go from the ideas in their head to birth these ideas and then to execute. It doesn't end at birthing these ideas. So understandably, many organizations will be thinking about strategy. How do I bring my idea from thought, from idea to action? So there's always a hunger to learn about the next framework or the best current framework or approach to bringing a business idea to life. However, I think some of the other topics may seem challenging. For example, what we'll focus on today, governance, leveraging governance. There's it's not the sexy part of running a business. So I would understand when many new businesses or even when many businesses in general are not picking that as what they want to hear in an afternoon masterclass session. It may not be a sexy topic or an attractive topic, but it's very crucial to businesses. So I hope I answered your question, Adeola. So how we'll go is I'll go through all the elements one by one, starting from strategize your vision. And when we get to today's focus topic, that's leveraging governance for sustainable growth, I'll do a deep dive on governance, on what we do with our clients before I then go to the last letter in the acronym. So I start with strategize your vision. Like I said, there are a lot of ideas and there are a lot of approaches to business. However, it's good to anchor this in the long-term strategy of your company, of what you're starting. Where are you now, and where would you like to be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? And it's important to take disciplined action in the direction of what you want to achieve. It's also good to identify growth levers and adapt things to changing markets. Adapt means you are aware of what the market needs, and you see how you can remain, you know, um, true to your purpose while still responding to the market. That's the second element of strategizing your vision. We also say that you should. Can you go back to the previous slide, please? Focus on building business models that are scalable and sustainable and scalable. And then lastly, use frameworks to focus on execution and not just ideas, because execution is king. Ideas are a dime a dozen, but execution differentiates who succeeds in the market, who succeeds in real life. Next slide. We go to C, which is champion excellence. Champion excellence focuses on building excellence in delivery, in culture, in your intra-company culture, in how you approach things, how you deliver to your clients, your customers, and stakeholders. Culture is built through how you support and empower your team. We cannot be outside preaching something that is in discrepancy to what we practice in-house. So there should be a holistic approach internally, and that reflects in how we interact with stakeholders and customers outside. Develop value aligned hiring and retention practices, which means be careful about how you bring people into your organization, and when you bring them in, be careful into how you shape, how you onboard them and shape the work that they do, so that everybody is working in a way that is aligned with the overall company strategy, and all the energy is focused on doing the things that move the company forward. Next is to prioritize inclusion, trust, and shared ownership. This would include things like, you know, um, appropriate delegation, coaching, and being aware of the context in which you work, giving the right responsibilities and the right growth opportunities um, to employees, co-workers. And lastly, is to summarize all of this, or to take away from all of this, is that people first businesses outperform in the long run. So if you are looking for sustainability and scalability, please champion excellence. Focus on your people, grow them, nurture, and build a company culture that is excellent. Next slide, please. Related to championing excellence, but not quite the same, is accelerate exceptional leadership. Build leadership beyond the founder, and we will still talk about this in the governance point. There are many companies where decision making is centered on one person. That's apart from not being the best from a governance standpoint, that's also a risk. A risk in that the whole growth is dependent on one person's thoughts and one person's actions on inactions. We recommend that we build leadership beyond the founder, develop managers into strategic leaders and not just tactical operational leaders, establish clear roles, responsibilities, and KPIs, because accountability does help ensure that we keep track of what we're achieving, we are moving in the right direction, and we can identify early and course correct when things are not going how we would like them to go. And then again, every investment you make in coaching and continuous learning for yourself as a business owner, and for your employees, for everybody, for co-workers, is a dollar well invested, or a naira well invested. Next slide, please. And then to today's topic, leverage governance for sustainable growth. When I'll give an anecdote here. When I first did my when I first joined a multinational as a consulting, my first project was on governance, on on operationalizing the Consumer Protection Directive. And I was like, what is this? This is one of the more, it sounds so interesting on the outside. When you buy a product or when you, and there are guarantees that as a consumer, you have these rights, you have, the company has these duties. It's nice as a consumer to have that experience. But on the inside, bringing this alive for companies to implement, I was challenged like, oh, so much to do. I thought I didn't know that there was so much to do, so much to know, and not all of it very exciting as a consultant. But on that project, I learned so much that I still use in my work today, even like 8 years after. So, good governance isn't bureaucracy. It's a growth engine for your company. It's a growth engine. It's a support. It's a strong support for the sustainability of your company. Understanding and adhering to regulations helps you avoid legal pitfalls, legal risks, and helps you build trust with stakeholders, with your customers, your partners, and your employees. The many employees these days will first ask why they are considering working for you. Why do I work for you? Why should I work for you? Why should I trust you with my career? Everybody wants a stellar career untainted by poor governance practices. So, understanding and adhering to the regulations will help you also in your brand. Having a good grasp of the relevant regulations can also provide valuable insights into market trends and potential opportunities. I'll give an example of a healthcare company recently that is now at the forefront of, I'll say, diagnostics in Africa because they chose to do the hard work of getting all the relevant international accreditations. So they got the ones they had to get for operating in West Africa, and then they went above and beyond to get what will make them, what will bring global relevance. And I can tell you they reaped the rewards in terms of how their customers trust them, how stakeholders trust them, how investors trust them. And of course, the market wants a company that is operating at global standards. Compliance with sector-specific standards can boost your credibility, like the example I just gave, and confer significant competitive advantages. So if, for example, we're listing medical diagnostics companies that can do this to a global standard, there are a few of them, and this company would be one of those few, even though they are relatively young, because they put in the governance work at the beginning that they should. Next slide. So now I do a deep dive into how we at ZER help companies put in place the governance structures that would help them grow. We do that in two phases. The first phase is a governance diagnosis. In this phase, we have sessions with the company where we discuss their target picture. But before the target picture, we do a governance audit. It's a structured questionnaire where they answer a set of questions, and the results from this audit give us and the company a clear picture of where they are in the governance, I would say their governance journey. What do they have? Where are the gaps? And then with this picture in view, we can understand the gaps that they need to fill. General gaps in terms of operating as a business in whatever jurisdiction, and also sector specific gaps. So we have an idea of this, and then we take these results and this picture into the phase two, which is the governance implementation. This is where, with the business owners and the stakeholders, we define and agree on the governance roadmap. because depending on what the audit reveals, implementation may not be a one-off thing. A one-off thing may not be a 1 week thing or even a 6 month thing. It's going to take time. So then we develop this roadmap together of what we are going to be doing over the course of time, so that at the end all gaps are closed. We set up frameworks tailored to the particular industry. For example, a governance framework for an insurance company cannot be directly cut and pasted onto a clinical diagnostic company. There needs to be sector specific tweaks and adjustments there to make the frameworks relevant and of good use to each particular company. And then with this roadmap and the frameworks to implementation, we help the company establish their corporate governance structure. At the end of the implementation, there is a company specific governance structure that covers the company's required domains. So if it's IT, if it's HR, if it's with consumer protection agencies and things like that, all the domains relevant for the company are covered. So governance is it's not just, oh, these are the laws, we need to comply. It's also saying how these laws affect us and what are the risks if we are not on the right side of this legal requirements. I'll just take a quick look in the comment section. I see some things popping up, so I can answer questions. Thank you, Rita. Yeah, the governance diagnosis will help identify sector-specific gaps. So then, like we said in the beginning, there are always many reasons why companies are finding it challenging to leveraging governance for sustainable growth. The first one is the resource constraints. We've had companies say, yeah, I'm too young for that. I need to focus my budget on more, priority things, more urgent things. Our position is that governance cannot be postponed. Having a governance structure should not be postponed, should not, you take it as a matter of doing business and start however you can. Not everybody needs a board right away. Not everybody needs a company, their own personally paid company legal secretary right away. However, the roles these people perform needs to be done. So we can find cost-effective ways to do it. For example, there are companies that provide company secretarial services where you don't have to have your own personally paid company secretary, but they perform these roles. You can lean into that. There are a lot of templates that startups can access, online templates, shared resources that help to minimize the costs of this must-have or must-use in terms of governance. I have a question here: that is good governance just meant to avoid risk? No. Risk avoidance or risk management is a key part of good governance, or a key result of good governance, but that's not the only reason to have good governance. We need to have good governance so that we can grow and scale without running into problems. Having good governance structures, for example, as a startup, makes you attractive to investors, or makes that an investor see that, okay, you are taking the time to build the right foundation for your company, and increases your credibility in front of investors. Having good governance structures also has as a good morale, as a good effect on employee morale. We are working for a company that values doing things the right way. So to answer your question, it's not just to avoid risk; it's to to boost your credibility among stakeholders, and to have a good effect on this your young company where you want to attract staff, and everybody wants to work for a company that takes governance things seriously. The second challenge we are aware of that comes up with implementing governance structures is knowledge gaps. There are many companies that just don't know where to start. I think governance is big company stuff. Yeah, we don't know where to start with all of this, all these boards and advisors and company secretary and this risk framework and that and that. Um, our position is calm down and take it piece by piece. It's not big company stuff. It's every company stuff. We ask business owners to open their minds to seeing governance as an integral part of their growth. Pay attention to governance issues, both positive issues and lapses in the news, so that you can have an awareness of how you want to position yourself or how you want to structure yourself in light of these issues. Join learning sessions that break down governance concepts into clear, manageable components, just to avoid feeling overwhelmed with tackling a big thing all at once. And then the last challenge we will highlight is informality. There are many companies where power is concentrated in one person, typically the founder. And the founder may resist sharing authority for whatever reason. However, this leads to concentration of power, such that all every decision that has to be made is dependent on this one person. That's not a good governance structure. That's a totally absent governance structure. And decisions are also typically made in SMEs and in small companies, in young companies. Decisions tend to be made informally. One person writes a WhatsApp message to this person, one person sends maybe an email to this person without a clear documentation of the information or of whatever is being whatever it is that is being achieved. So our recommendation on this is to start again as a young company, start gradually. First introduce as a founder and you are aware that all decision making is clustered around you. Introduce advisory boards so that you learn to at least share decision making, part of the decision making process with other people or with other stakeholders. That would be the first step. So to summarize all of this about governance, we want you to take away from this session that use good governance to your advantage. Set up clear boards, advisory groups, and reporting structures. Practice ethical leadership and transparent decision making. And lastly, align governance with your mission and impact goals. Think of governance as an integral part of building your business. Next, please. So that's on governance. I come to the last element of the SCALE framework, which is the E, and that stands for expand your impact via growth capital. Understand when and how to grow into new markets. Use data to de-risk your expansion into new target segments, into new geographies. Get the data, and remember also when we're talking about governance, we mentioned you being aware of the governance structures in different places, so that as you expand, you are on the right side of the regulation wherever you expand to. Localize your approach. One size never fits all. So a growth strategy for a startup, for example, a really seed stage startup, would not be the same growth strategy for that company when it's a 30 man startup and has raised a couple more funding. Also, growing in Lagos has its own implications and demands. When you want to expand into Nairobi, you need to be aware that you need to go local and understand what it means to grow in Nairobi. in terms of human capital, in terms of capital money-wise, in terms of the brand you need to build to be appealing to the market where you're expanding to. Because here we think of capital not just in terms of the financial capital, but also human capital and also brand capital. And as you grow, stay anchored in your why, even as you scale your how. So as you grow, the market demands this, stakeholders demand this, and in we ask we our recommendation is to know who you are, so that as you respond to the market demands, stakeholder demands, customer demands, you stay grounded in your why, even as you do what the market demands. Next, please. So at ZER, we strive to be a trusted partner in building this new Africa by leveraging our global experience, our broad network, and the proprietary scale framework we just shared with you. Our values are collaboration, entrepreneurship, excellence, and trust. We take a collaborative approach in our work, leveraging our global experience and extensive networks, along with our scale framework, to be a catalyst for change here in Africa. Remember, we said we focus on building African companies for the global stage. We want to be your trusted partner in building the new Africa together. That's our vision. And our purpose, our ultimate purpose, is to build African excellence for the global stage. So there's a question here about how, so if I can just address the question before I lose it. Thank you, Michael, for that question. How can small and medium-sized enterprises implement good governance practices without incurring administrative costs? Thank you. So an approach I can recommend for that is, number one, explore using shared services. So, for example, I know that there are startups where they don't have a company secretary, but they have a firm providing company secretarial services. The prices are different. That helps to reduce the burden of having someone on your salary on your salary as a startup, which you may not be able to immediately afford, but being able to pay a small retainer to have access to someone that can provide these services. That's one approach. Another approach is to leverage as a startup or as an SME to also leverage the Fs, the friends, families. So I want to implement something as a startup or as an SME. I cannot afford to bring in a company secretary on my own or to have a board. Yes, but I can get a template online that gives me a structure on how to approach it. And I can approach someone in my network that is a lawyer or a legal advisor or a company secretary and leverage them as an F in my growth phase to see, okay, here, Mr. Bob, I want to do this for my company, or this is where I am and this is where I want to go. Can you do this for me for free or for a consideration that is not, too exorbitant considering our growth phase? So those are two approaches. Using the F's, that's friend, families, and I've forgotten the last F in the startup growth, in startup funding. So it's using the leveraging on the F's, and then also considering using shared services. Consider using online tools. There are dozens of tools provided by accelerators or business support enterprises that just help you cross the first bridge, so that you have an awareness of what you need to do, you have the documentation ready, and then if you still need to, you can get validation of this from a legal secretary or from a legal advisor. That's what I would recommend. And also consider that the many times the cost of non-compliance is so much higher than the cost of, you know, of, of getting of these administrative costs. So here, lastly, we want to recap on the SCALE framework and let you know that these elements are not linear. It's not like you have to first strategize your vision and then champion excellence. No, they are interconnected. You can do all of them together. You can do an analysis and see, oh, this is where the gaps are for my company, and this is where I want to build, and focus on that. It doesn't have to be. It's not always you finish S and then you go to C and then you go to A. Then we urge you to scan, if you have not already done so, please scan this QR code. It takes you to the ZER SCALE scorecard, where you can fill this assessment tool that gives you a snapshot of where you are relative to the SCALE elements, and maybe give you an idea of gaps you may need to start working on in your SME or in your startup or your company, whatever stage you are. And then I trust many of us have our books. Our book, Afro-Optimism Unleashed, written by the founder of ZER Consulting Africa. I have my copy here. Read the book. All the elements of the SCALE framework are further detailed in the book. If you would like to do a deep dive, also feel free to reach out. You can get the book on Amazon and in bookshops around you in Nairobi and Lagos. So also feel free to get in touch with us at any time on LinkedIn, on Instagram. You can write us an email, zconsulting.com. We are very active on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out to us. We're always happy to. So I would say with that, I've come to the end of the presentation. There might be questions in the comment section. Feel free to send your questions. If you would like to say something, I'm happy to pick that from the comment section and relay. So barring any questions, do we have any questions from any of the platforms? No questions. Thank you. And thank you very much for your question, Michael. I hope we were able to address your query correctly. Otherwise, please feel free to connect with us on any platform and we can deep dive. So with that, I would like to thank everyone for attending. Thank you for joining us for our second session. We host, okay, I have a question now. What do I think is the hottest topic in governance? So I would say for Nigeria, coming from a startup in Nigeria, a startup in Africa perspective, the hottest topic right now is staying compliant while you grow, because it's like every 6 months something pops up. Oh, this startup failed, and there are questions around their failure or their crash. Where did they have this in place? Didn't they have a board? And then when these companies crash or the startups have these issues, then all kinds of governance questions start popping up. So for me, that's the biggest thing. How can African startups, African businesses stay compliant with the relevant, how can African startups maintain the right governance structures even as they grow? Yeah, because I think that's an issue that comes up, and that's an issue we need to address as an ecosystem. So I hope I answered that question satisfactorily for you, Adeola. the hottest topic in governance as a member of the African Startup Network. So, startup ecosystem. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining this session. Thank you very much, Michael. Yeah, we appreciate your presence and your questions, your engagement. Thank you to everyone that joined us from LinkedIn and from YouTube. This session will be saved on those platforms on YouTube for if you would like to refer later. Hi, Kemi, I see your comment. You say it's not just an African problem. Definitely, it's not just an African problem. There are governance challenges for startups globally. Always, companies trying to keep the right governance structures even as they grow. I say that I mentioned that because I'm part of the African startup ecosystem. And when this comes up, of course, there are many startups all over the world that come up with these issues or that fall with these issues every now and then. It's like as an African startup, there's an extra scrutiny. Oh, did they put in the right thing? What went wrong? What went especially wrong? So just this extra scrutiny when you're running an African company to keep the right structures in place or to grow with the right structures. And because when you don't, the scrutiny is extra hard on you as an African founder. So that's why I brought up the African label, Ken. But thank you for the comment. So then, until next time, which is in 2 weeks, I would say the next masterclass will be on the 4th of June. We hope to see you at that session, and we look forward to welcoming you. Tell your friends, tell your colleagues about this knowledge sharing session every other Wednesday. So until then, it's bye from me and bye from the team at ZER Consulting Africa. Bye.